Oh, that's good. That's a good picture of a good-looking guy right there.
Yo.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's doing that.
I don't know. You know why they're having technical difficulties? Because NASA is using all the bandwidth right now to talk to the Artemis spacecraft that's on the far side of the moon.
Really?
Yeah, no. So right now, as we're recording this episode, the Artemis spacecraft is on the far side of the moon. And I think they just went through their line of sight period where they can't talk to NASA for 40 minutes. By the time we're done recording this episode, they will be as far away from Earth as they're going to get, and then they'll start their return trip back home. So the Artemis 2 spacecraft right now, the astronauts, as we are recording this episode, are the humans who have traveled the farthest from Earth ever in history.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they've actually gone farther away than the Apollo spacecraft went 50 years ago.
And they're scheduled to be back on the 10th, right?
Something like that. Yeah, it was a 10-day mission. I don't remember off the top of my head when they launched. I mean, I do. I just can't. No, it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. They launched Wednesday, so they should be back Saturday, the 11th.
The 11th. Okay.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
So, welcome back. We are Inside Lunchbox. This is your co-host, Leviticus Rex, here to talk about everything delicious, everything local, everything Conroe. I am here with the chef of Conroe, the master of the grill, the barbecue king of Montgomery County,
That's
the
not
most
true.
eligible bachelor in the podcast realm of food cooking,
Well,
Christopher Mackey.
Well, I'm going to have to change the eligible bachelor because I have
that's
a,
right.
I have a
Oh, my
beautiful.
God, she's going to kill me.
I have a beautiful girlfriend. Beautiful girlfriend.
And she's gonna kill me. Guys,
Yeah,
I didn't
you-
forget that you had a girlfriend. I blanked for a second because just doing the usual thing. I'm an eligible bachelor, but I forgot.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
he's in a relationship.
I love her to death. Give a shout out to you, girl.
Yeah,
You
no,
know-
she's great.
You know who you are. I love you. Kisses to you. Levi's trying to get me in trouble. I'm telling you, I am not eligible.
Ladies, he is not single.
I am off the market.
Yeah.
I am officially off the market. Don't call me. Don't text me.
Don't call me.
Don't call me. Don't text me.
I have dementia. I forget people exist. This is my bad. Yeah, too much chemotherapy.
Nah, it's all good. So, real quick, man, just a couple of news. This Friday, we will, inside the lunchbox, we will be headed to Eat This Fast and Fresh, the Woodlands. Mm-hmm. They invited us to come down there and hang out with them. We're going to do an interview and hopefully taste some of their good food.
Yeah.
It's called Eat This Fast and Fresh, and from my research, they sell meal preps, and they have a variety of different type of meals that you could pick from and eat. And they're not just basic meals; these are meals that are fine dining level meals. You go there and you get whatever you want. I seen one that I wanted. It was street tacos.
Nice.
It looked really, 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 really good. And so we'll be there this Friday around 2:00. So if you're just happen to be in the area, definitely come out and see us at Eat This Fast and Fresh. Check them out on their social media page, and come chop it up with us.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. They're not the only people who have been reaching out to us lately about coming to their restaurant and stuff.
Yeah.
Aren't you going to be a judge at a barbecue festival or something here soon?
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's a cook-off. I just got a message from a friend of mine. They want us to go on May the 2nd. They want us to be a guest judge there and judge their cook-off that they're having in their community with the HOA.
Oh.
So that is great.
Good times. Good times.
So
good times.
that's exactly what we want to do. We want to bring people together with food, and we want to have a good time, bring the community together, and show that food is the main reason why people come together, why cultures come together. It should be a main reason.
It's why we started building temples. It's why we started building
exactly.
cities. It's why when throughout human history, anthropologists, when humans stopped having to forage for food as their like main activities throughout the day, that's when we started building communities, started building culture, started doing art, things of that nature. Food is incredibly important. Obviously, we have to eat 3 times a day. And food doesn't just fall out of the sky, unfortunately. So we have to farm it, cook it, things of that nature. But that's part of what makes us human. Yeah. All right. So talking about food, last episode, we were talking about Caribbean food. And we were talking about Jamaica, Pondy Road. In our adventures there. And we decided to continue to cover a few more topics in the Caribbean before we moved on to another area or another topic. So, Chef Mac, why don't you...
Well, before I get started, I would like for you to tell me a little bit of history about the Caribbean. Like, what makes the Caribbean so significant? Like, I know when I was growing up as a kid, I love pirates.
Yeah, so pirates are definitely a thing associated with the Caribbean. Piracy is not something that was ever isolated to the Caribbean, but the type of piracy that happened in the Caribbean is highly romanticized in film, in fiction, in general. And the main pirates, they actually set up like this little republic, this republic of pirates in the Caribbean. And the main thing that was happening there was you didn't have a lot of strong government control over the Caribbean, and you had all these Spanish ships sailing to and from Latin America, North, South America, not North America, but like North, South America, like Venezuela, Colombia, and other places like that, where they were having these like massive gold mines, and they were shipping all this gold bullion back to Spain. And so a lot of times these ships were fairly unprotected. And so you had like a lot of English sailors who were hired to be on like British ships during the wars. There was like several different wars that happened over the several hundred period between like England, France, and Spain. And so after the wars were over and the colonial powers decided, okay, we have Jamaica, you have Haiti, you have Latin America. After they were done with that, they didn't want to pay for these massive fleets anymore. So now you have a whole bunch of sailors who have combat experience, who don't want to go find regular jobs. Yeah. So what do? They take a bunch of frigates, they arm them up with cannons, and they start raiding shipping in and around the Caribbean. And a lot of times these sailors would be hired as mercenaries, as buccaneers or privateers. They would be sanctioned by countries like England and France to continue to do this economic warfare against Spain, and vice versa to a degree. So it wasn't necessarily like a bunch of just outlaws being outlaws. Like a lot of times they were hired mercenaries. But a lot of times they were just outlaws. And if caught, if they didn't have a writ of permission from England or France, if they didn't have like a permission from the crown saying, no, these are sanctioned privateers, then they would just get hung.
Oh, wow.
So it was very important to either not get caught, or if you do get caught, you have like a writ of permission from the crown. Otherwise, you'd be treated, if you had that writ of permission, you'd be treated like a prisoner of war. And then Spain would go to England like, hey, you need to pay us reparations for the damages that your privateers are causing us, and you need to ransom them back. If you don't have that, you're just an outlaw. And a lot of times these pirates, they would form their own little crews. They'd elect their captains. They'd have a lot more egalitarian going on their decks because they're all volunteers in acting in piracy. They're not conscripts. They're not part of the military. So their rank structure was a lot more loose compared to compared to actual militaries of the time. And they did form, they did capture a bunch of little islands and form their own little republic, built a fort with cannons to keep the British and the French navies away. And they had their own little republic for a short period of time.
So they had like a code too that they lived by.
Yeah, for the most part, they had a code. They had pensions they paid out. If you got injured doing piracy, the pirate crew would take care of you. That was one of the protections that they had with each other. Otherwise people don't want to do this. Why would I, as a skilled sailor, risk my life if I get my hand blown off in a battle? I can't get a job, right? Yeah. Now, if you were part of the British Navy and you were impressed in the service and you got your hand blown off, oh well, you're screwed. But when it came to the pirates, they had like pensions and stuff that they would pay out over time. Now, the golden age of piracy, as it's known in the Caribbean, there's piracy all over the world, but in the Caribbean, the golden age of piracy lasted about 60, 70, 80 years. And And then after the colonial empires of like France and Great Britain actually exerted more control over their colonies, and it wasn't just like a loosely based like, yeah, go over there, set up your own little colony, and bring us back tobacco control. Once they had like actual control, and they had governors, and they had dedicated troops to the area, the bands of pirates were mostly disbanded and were wiped out.
So, did Jack Sparrow, was he?
No, he's a fictional character.
Oh man, Jack Sparrow was so cool. Man.
Incredibly fictional character. In fact, at that time, during the movies, during that time period,
He's my
piracy was
superhero.
mostly over with.
He's my superhero.
Yeah, but I mean, there were pirates. They had Port Royal in the movies. Port Royal, where like the governor's at, that was the actual pirate capital.
Oh, okay.
Port Royal was their little republic that they set up, but it was eventually captured by the British.
I mean, anybody that could be drunk off rum,
Yeah.
90% of the day and function is my superhero.
So and they weren't drunk to say. Rum had citrus in it, and the citrus in it kept them from getting scurvy. So every single sailor was issued a ration of rum on a daily basis in order to keep them from getting scurvy. Also, you don't have clean water. You don't have water filtration systems, water treatment plants, things of that nature. Therefore, the only drink that was safe to actually drink, that was processed and safe to drink, was alcoholic beverages. That's why they drank so much wine. That's why they drank so much rum. That's why even up until like Prohibition in the United States, people drank beer as often as they did, because that was the alcohol content would kill the bacteria that would keep them from getting sick. You can't just pull water out of a well, store it in a barrel, and drink it later. It's going to grow things in it.
So when I get pulled over, which I won't because I don't drink and drive, I'm going to tell the cop that the only reason why I was drinking because I don't want to get bacteria in my body, and I'm trying to.
I'm sure that's going to work in the modern day. But anyways, yes, that's, specifically pirates. Not that the food discussion is about pirates, but, there's a lot of romanticized things about the Caribbean era of the golden age of piracy in the Caribbean. But the true history is actually very, very interesting. They were very democratic in how they ran things. They weren't just a bunch of like angry sea dogs out there just doing crime to commit crime. It's how they made a living. They were also sanctioned by different governments to attack enemy nations. If a captain didn't do well, they could just vote him out and get in a new captain. It was a much more laissez-faire way of life than the actual Royal Navy, but it didn't last very long in the grand scheme of things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Pirates are still my favorite.
They're cool.
I like pirates.
I mean, pirates exist in the modern day. They just changed their tactics.
I wonder what type of food they ate back. They had to eat a lot of fish,
a lot of salted stuff. I would imagine
salted seafood and like just regular fishing. And
maybe we can discuss that the on another episode. We can discuss the daily life of food on board.
So did they really like? I know we're just the podcast about food, but pirates are very interesting to me, right? So did they actually like search for gold?
They didn't look for it. A lot of people have looked for pirate gold in the modern era because there were rumors that they would hide their treasures here and there. Most of the time, they just spent it. Most of the time, it went to the pensions that I talked about. The pirates weren't treasure hunters. The pirates they would find unprotected merchant ships, ransack the ship, steal all the goods, and if the people resisted, they would do terrible things to them.
So they had their own federal credit union.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they had their own little banking system. Each ship had a quartermaster. That quartermaster was in charge of maintaining all the funds. So, say they attack a British merchant ship that's carrying tobacco. They would take that tobacco back to Port Royal. Port Royal would sell that tobacco on the black market. That money would come back to that ship's crew. They would pay part of that to the Port Royal Defense. So that way, they have a safe harbor. And then from the rest of it, they would divide it up. The quartermaster gets a salary from it. The captain gets a salary from it. And then each sailor that sailed with them would get a salary from it. They would all go into a common fund. And then they would pay out whenever your time on the ship was done. You'd collect your pension and go.
Interesting.
It was a business.
Interesting.
Yeah, but they weren't treasure hunters. Now, modern era people... due to ships sinking in the Caribbean that were full of gold, like the Spanish ships I talked about, a lot of them sank for various different reasons. And so sometimes those gold coins will wash up on beaches, and that's why people have metal detectors on beaches looking for them. There's rumored hidden pirate treasure in all these places. I don't know if it's entirely true. The pirates didn't exactly dig holes in the ground and stick coins in it.
Well, they had me fooled, man. They had
Yeah,
a whole
that's part of the romanticized thing.
They had the whole TV series about these people looking for gold. And
Yeah, I mean, people
digging for gold, and they made a whole TV series about it a couple of years ago.
more often than not, what they're looking for is they're looking for the shipwrecks, and then the shipwrecks might have gold still in their
That makes sense.
cargo holds. Yeah,
That makes sense. All right, there's your history. Just a little bit of history about the Caribbean and the piracy that went on in the Caribbean. Now, so there's a lot of different foods. There's a lot of so you have the Caribbean and you have different countries in the Caribbean. You have a lot, and a lot of these countries are ran by are owned by different countries. You know?
Yeah, there's still a lot of colonies. You still have the Dutch own, what is it, Aruba. You still have the United Kingdom's own Grand Cayman Islands. You have the Virgin Islands are split between the U.S. and the U.K. France owns a couple islands still in the Caribbean. France owns still a piece of South America. A lot of these are leftovers from the colonial days.
And with that being said, it was also a real big focal point for slavery too, as well, right?
Yes. So the Caribbean could grow things, especially like places like Jamaica. They could grow things like sugar, and sugar was worth as much as gold back then. So a lot of the native locals who lived on these islands of like Hispaniola, Cuba, Jamaica, and these other places, a lot of those natives were wiped out during the Columbian Exchange. So when the Spanish explorers first came, they brought with them diseases that these Native Americans had never experienced before. And so a lot of them were just absolutely wiped out. I think like the population of Hispaniola was 99.9% wiped out within like the first 10 years of coming into contact with the Spanish explorers. So how do you grow, sugar and herbs and spices and things that you can't grow in Europe because of the climate? How do you grow those things on these islands that are very fertile, because a lot of them are volcanic islands that are very fertile and willing to grow all these wonderful crops? How do you grow that? Well, you have to import labor. Well, people from Spain don't want to come down to Central America where it's hot and humid and work farms. So what did they do? They decided to start taking manufactured goods from Europe to West Africa, trade those manufactured goods with local West African kingdoms for their prisoners of war, and then take those prisoners of war, enslave them, and make them work on the sugar cane farms and things of that nature. And that's why you have like Jamaica is mostly black population, and Haiti is a black population. Well, how did black people get there? Well, the Europeans brought them over there.
They brought us over there unwillingly.
90% of the slave ships that brought slaves from West Africa to the New World, most of them ended up on Caribbean islands. Some ended up in Virginia and Georgia, and that's where we had the black population in the United States comes from. But most slaves were brought to the Caribbean.
Yeah, I wonder if they the way that they introduced it to us, like, hey, put a raffle in, you can win a nice cruise to the Caribbean. Get on board, and we won a cruise.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not how that happened.
The Europeans brought muskets to West Africa, armed certain warlords that were friendly to them, and then those warlords would provide them with prisoners of war.
Get on the boat.
Yeah.
So like I said, so you have all these different cultures, which primarily Africans from Africa, also people from India too, as well as a main influence on the Caribbean. And some of their food is actually comes from India, like a lot of the curries, a lot of the spices, their seasons, their flavors, and a lot of variations of their foods.
Yeah.
So,
and like I said on the last episode, it's highly dependent on which island was owned by which colonial empire, which culture is prevalent there. So Jamaica, Grand Cayman Island, all those other places were owned by the UK. So you have a lot more UK centered culture in food or similar foods. Yep. And then in Haiti, you have more French influence. They have more French names. And then in like Puerto Rico, Cuba, Hispaniola, and other places, those were mostly owned by the Spanish. And so they speak Spanish.
Yep.
And they have more Spanish influence in their food.
And there's, so one of the spices is curry. You have your Jamaican curry, you have your Indian curry. You have your yellow curry, your green curry, your red. There's multiple types of curry out there, and they all have their different flavor and different taste. So I was gonna just talk about a country and just going down the list, but there's a lot of countries out there. But their food is pretty much the same. They all eat pretty much the similar things. They eat a lot of fish. They do eat a lot of chicken and a lot of like very bold spices, very bold. Like you have your curry, you have your allspice, you have like it's just so much stuff that you have. So I just picked a few, just 3, and there's a list of great food out there. If you want to experience some good food, definitely go to the Caribbean, and if you can, try to experience the different countries in the Caribbean because they all have their variation of their food. So the first one I want to talk about is actually a flatbread. It's a Caribbean roti. Roti. I guess I'm saying that right. If I'm not, please feel free to come online and let me know how to say that because I'm not from the Caribbean and it would be great. So in the early 19th centuries, laborers from India were brought into the Caribbean to work in the sugar plantations, bringing with them their indigenous foods such as roti. Roti. Okay, so here's the thing. There's a bread in India called a chapati bread. And it kind of looks like a chapati bread. So I could see the similarities. And if I pronounce that bread wrong, please forgive me. I do apologize. I'm not the best at it. But anyway, the bread looks very similar to that. In the mid-19th century, the Caribbean started to adjust and change you said roti?
Roti is how
roti recipe.
Yeah, what I'm seeing.
Roti recipe to their taste. They added ingredients to make it more flavorful. In Trinidad and Tobago, roti was changed to Dalapori roti by adding split peas. So you could take this and you could add kind of like a pie. You could add things inside of it. I don't know. Would that be a ravioli? I'm just joking. Off topic. Let's go. So if you guys watched the last show, it was a big thing. I don't know if it was last show. It was a couple of shows back.
It's been an ongoing trend with him. A lawnmower has wheels and a car has wheels. Therefore, a lawnmower is a car. Okay, buddy.
Okay, so in the late 19th century, later 19th to the early 20th century, as the influx of Indians in the Caribbean rose, roti's popularity also grew. The Indian communities in the Caribbean maintained it as their staple, and they adopted other cuisines from the variation cultures. In the mid 20th century, roti became a commercial product being sold in restaurants and shops, hence becoming more popular with other people in the Caribbean. The late 20th century to date, roti becomes widely known and recognized as a huge part of the Caribbean cuisine. It is consumed as either a snack or a part of a meal paired with stews and curries. So
Interesting.
When we ate the chapati bread in India, or not in India, in Kuwait, we used, every time they had like their curry or they had some type of stew, we take that bread and it's kind of like we do here in the South, where we take our biscuits and we take our rolls and we
mop it.
And we mop it.
Yeah.
We make sure we get all like that plate's supposed to be white. That plate's going to be white when we get done with it. That's what they do with it. So
it looks good.
And this is just they had other pictures. I just kind of generated this a little bit, but if it's anything like the bread I know in India, it is real good because I think some portion of it is actually fried.
Okay.
And it has that greasy, buttery, crispy. Like when you do like a pancake and you put the butter in it and the edges are real crispy.
Yeah.
That part right there. That whole part right there. So, definitely if you're in the Caribbean, they're probably going to serve that to you with every meal now down in the Caribbean. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter what country or what island you visit. All right, so the next one, I want to pronounce this, and I'm going to try to pronounce it.
Looks like mofongo to me.
Mofongo, you mofongo. So actually, one of the guys at the VFW actually knows what mofongo is, and he actually had it. And he said it's very, very, very,
Yeah.
very delicious. So it's actually a Puerto Rican dish.
Okay.
It's originated in Puerto Rico. It is a traditional dish made from mashed fried plantains, often mixed with garlic, olive oil, and pork crackling.
And plantains are like these little bananas.
No, they're big.
Big bananas.
Big bananas.
No, they're
Very
not.
bitter bananas.
Every time I've seen one, they're like this big.
Every time we need to go to HEB, I show you a
Okay.
big plantain. Maybe they have small plantains. I don't know.
Maybe they do.
Maybe they're both plantains. I don't know.
Yeah.
The little small bananas.
Maybe over the years they've interbred them and stuff to make them grow bigger. But
Or they just not.
every plantain I've ever seen it looks like a small banana.
Really?
Yes, really.
Okay. Well,
In Africa, they were like that big.
I think I bring up plantain on the show next time.
Okay.
Mofongo is a beloved dish of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Still, its roots trace back to West African culinary tradition. It's believed that enslaved Africans brought to the Caribbean during the colonial era, to the creation of mofongo. The dish consists primarily of fried greens, plantains mashed with garlic, salt, and tropical pork crackling or bacon formed into a ball or mound.
Man,
And then you could take that and you could put shrimp, like as the pictures say, shows, you could put shrimp on top of it. You could put blackened fish on top of it. You could put anything you want on top. And I think they mostly use seafood. I could be wrong. But every time I've seen it, it has been the seafood on top of it. Right?
I'd imagine that an island nation would have a lot more seafood involved. Yeah.
Yeah. So crackling or bacon formed into a ball or mound. Its name is thought to derive from the Congo region of Africa. However, the exact etymology has yet to be definitely established. So it's all hearsay. Everybody's going to have their own different where it came from.
Where the word came from.
Where the word
Etymology
came from.
means
where the word came from, who made the name up.
Yeah.
But I could tell you right now, mofongo is from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, no doubt. It looks a lot like I forget the name. I'm going to butcher it. Like the sumu bread that we would eat in East Africa.
So I've never been to East Africa. So
Yeah, so it's like this clumpy white doughy bread that's like got like a rich like texture to it, and you peel pieces of it off and use it to mop your plate
Are
with.
you talking about pounded yams?
No, it was
fufu.
fufu. That's the word. Yeah, the fufu bread.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it looks similar. Like it's a big mound that they put in the middle of your plate, and then you peel pieces off of it to eat soup and stuff with.
So I know. So pounded yams or fufu
Was it made out of yams?
is made out of a potato, a sweet potato.
Oh, really?
Yams. So that's why I said it may be a little different because you're calling it a bread, but I know there is an African dish called fufu, which you take the yam and you're just constantly beating it over and over and over, and it when you're over stirring mashed potatoes, it gets real starchy and sticky and stuff like that. So they're steady just beating the living soul out of these potatoes to make it into a ball, to make it really, really sticky and starchy, and that's what they use to get their. They use it with their soups, like their stewed okra, their stewed beef, and it's okay. I like it. Sometimes, to me, the ones that I've had hasn't really had a lot of flavor in it. But all of this is like a ball of mashed potatoes.
No, it's the same thing. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, fufu.
Yeah.
They call it a bread because it has meal in it. But yeah, it's like this ball.
So that may be a prime example of how big and how mass Africa is.
Yeah, Africa's huge.
And Africa is not a country, folks.
It's a continent.
So you go to another country in Africa, they may call it pounded yams, and you go to East Africa and they may call it a bread, and they may stuff something inside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's amazing how food is just
Sorry to get off track, but it just
diverse.
reminds me of it, like this big clump of whatever's made of it.
Yeah.
And then you peel. Now I don't know if you peel pieces off of this or whatever, but like this idea that you're going to clump, different types of food and stuff together into like this big ball, and then you're going to eat it.
Yeah. So I kind of see this kind of like a
Yeah.
mashed potato,
It looks
like
like
a risotto, like
meatloaf.
like I'm gonna take like my rice, or I'm gonna take my grits and put stuff on top of it. But anyway, so in Puerto Rico, mofongo has evolved into a staple dish served with various types of foods like seafood, chicken, beef, or vegetables, are often occupied by a broth or a sauce. The Dominican Republic version is mango, mango, made with boiled greens, plantains instead of fried. Green plantains instead of fried. So there you go. There's a difference. They fry them, they mash them, or they boil them and they mash them. Over time, mofongo has become the cherished part of these regions' culture and culinary heritage, and symbolizing the fusion of African, indigenous, and Spanish influences in the Caribbean. So I'm pretty sure you can find this. You go to Jamaica, you can find it in Jamaica. You can find it in every other Caribbean island out there, because they're just there, right? So
yeah, just like you can find chili in different spots of the U.S. and also outside the U.S.
So the next one we have, and I think this is a national. I think this is actually a national food for Haiti. Welcome to our blah 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 fascination dish known as I am Groot. I don't know how to pronounce that either. So if I slaughter it, please forgive me.
Griot.
Is it griot?
Because it's French. Griot.
It's French. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So because Haiti speaks French. So I have a question.
What?
If they speak French in Haiti, why the Jamaicans speak
English?
No, they speak patois, but patois is French.
I don't know. I know that like when I was in Jamaica, they spoke English.
No, it's type of English, but it's considered patois. But it's not. But they don't speak French. It's actually a French name.
I'd have to look it up. I mean, maybe the French originally controlled Jamaica, and then the English took it over, kind of like with Quebec, kind of like with Louisiana.
Yeah. So the reason why I asked that, because I had a friend that was actually Haitian and a friend that was Jamaican, and his thing was, man, you speak English, and you guys don't speak. Now this was just a joke. He's like, you guys don't speak English well, but you call it a French name, patois. So we were all in the military together, so we were just talking, making comments to each other. But so God, pronounce it again. Griot. Dish known as griot, Haiti's national dish. Griot is beloved and cherished culinary tradition in Haiti, deeply rooted in the country's rich history and culture. The mouthwatering dish consists of tender chunks of pork that are marinated, fried until crispy, and then served with a side of, what is that, piglets? A spicy cabbage stew. That sounds really good. That sounds really, really good. Griot holds a special place in the hearts of Haitians, as it is often enjoyed during festive occasions and family gatherings. It is not only a delicious meal, but also a symbol of unity and celebration. So, with this being a national dish, it's kind of like, I guess, like a hot dog or ribs here in the U.S. Whenever we have the 4th of July, we barbecue. The key ingredient of griot, is that what you said? Which is widely available in Haiti. The pork is typically cut into small bite-sized pieces and marinated in a mixture of citrus juices, garlic, and spices. The marinade helps the tenderizing of the meat and adds a depth of flavor to the dish. To prepare this dish, the marinated pork is first boiled into a tender and then fried until crispy. The dish is often served as a main course with rice and beans or plantains. Plantains is three different cultures, three different countries, and they're all eating plantains.
Well, all these different cultures share a common West Africa heritage.
Yes. So culinary, I want to say that the Caribbean has some really
Oh yeah,
Really,
I mean, we already talked about it.
Really
Like
good
barbecue in general comes from the Caribbean.
really.
We talked about it on the last episode.
I thought it came from Texas.
No.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It came from Texas.
Texas likes to claim everything. Texas is like, we invented chili. No, the Mayans invented chili.
We did
We
invent
invented
chili.
barbecue. No, it was Caribbean islanders pre-Columbian that invented that particular form of cooking, and then it became popular with the with like the local plantation owners as well as the enslaved people who lived there, and then they brought it to places like Georgia and introduced it to the United States.
So
Texas was not involved in any way, shape, or form.
So with that being said, how much time do we have, Levi?
We got a couple of minutes.
Where are we at? Like 35 minutes?
Yeah, about.
All right, so we're going to start this new segment of our show, right? And this is where me and Levi are going to bump heads, and we're going to swing, and we're going to duck, and we're going to dodge, and we're going to throw jabs at each other.
Yeah.
All in fun. But at the end of the day, there only could be one winner. And it's not us, it's the food.
It's the food.
The food will be the winner every time. But we will argue about it. So.
Why so serious?
Yes. So with that being said, can you give me that one more time?
What?
The why so serious?
Why so serious? Are we doing it? Oh, why not?
Why so serious?
We're going to have the great
food debate.
Food debate. And today's topic is should sandwiches be cut diagonal or should they be cut straight? And the only reason I chose this because me and Levi had a debate about this.
Give me your reasoning why you should take a square sandwich and make it a smaller square. Go.
Well, it's not really a smaller square. It's more like a rectangle.
Well, whatever. Why? Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You know, triangles are used in like construction and other things because they hold greater tension. So if you cut the sandwich in the shape of a triangle, it's going to hold a better tension. It's also nicer shaped in order to eat. You have like, you know, starting small and getting bigger so you can insert the amount that fits into your mouth just right and you can take a bite of it. If you take a square and make it a smaller square, you kind of defeated the purpose. Why even cut it to begin with?
Well, look, I'm just saying.
Facts, logic.
Does it really matter?
It does matter.
Look, if I cut this is how I see it. If I'm going to cut a sandwich into a triangle, first of all, I'm not in the third grade anymore.
Right, so leave the crust on.
Definitely leave the crust on. For all you guys that cut the crust, you're a whole nother topic. But anyway.
You are making a longer cut going diagonal, which sure, whatever. But that cut is making so if you cut it in half, the dimensions are the same and the volume is the same. You have the same volume whether it's a square, you have the same volume whether it's a triangle. However, if you cut it diagonally, you are taking that volume and you're spreading it out over a greater, longer, thinner distance. Therefore, it's easier to take a bite of.
Interesting. I don't know, man. I think I prefer my sandwich cut in half, not at an angle.
A half is also an angle. Triangle is half.
Okay. I don't want my sandwich in a 90 degree.
Why?
Because
the square has a 90
I
degree.
feel like
What you're upset about is the 45.
Or the 45. Like when I eat my sandwich, I don't want something sharp looking at me when I'm putting it in my mouth.
Okay.
Like when you do that, you sitting up here like so if I take a bite of the corner, it's not a real big mouthful. Like it's like a little bitty bite.
Right.
If I turn it the other way, it's the same thing.
Right. You get the same on all sides. Whereas with the triangle, you can decide, do I want this side? Do I want this side?
It's a full bite.
It doesn't have to be. You just take a smaller bite. You're fine. But the fact that you can take a full bite with it is a check in my column. That you square people are small biters, whereas those who cut it in a diagonal, we are wanting to consume the whole sandwich, and therefore makes it into a more bite-sized shape. I'm right. You're wrong. That's all there is to it.
So,
Moving
guys,
on.
how would you like your sandwich cut? Would you like a 3-year-old cut at an angle, or like an adult cut in half, or would you just like to keep it whole?
I mean, if you're gonna cut it in half and you're gonna leave it as a square, just leave it as a whole.
So
So you already have a square. You already have a square. You're making a square a square. What's the point of cutting it? If you're gonna nibble the corners, do it as a whole sandwich.
The only reason why people cut sandwiches in half anyway because they're probably not going to eat the whole thing.
No, they're cutting it to make it easier to eat.
I don't believe you should cut a sandwich anyway.
Oh, okay.
If you make a sandwich, you should eat it like a sandwich.
And if you're going to cut a sandwich, cut it into a triangle.
If I
It's
want
the
2
best way
sandwiches,
to
I
do
would
it.
make 2 sandwiches.
Okay.
I never, like my mom used to
Yeah,
always ask me, like, what
that's-
she did, do you want me to cut it in half? No, I want my sandwich whole.
But if you cut it in half, it makes it easier to eat.
It makes it easier to eat either way.
No, a big sandwich, if you take a bite into it, you can get stuff on your sides. Whereas if it's in a
That's
triangle,
called
you don't.
That's called good eating.
Okay.
Flavor.
It's just cut in half is less messy. It's an easier way to eat.
Okay, well, the great food debate. At the end of the day,
All right.
the sandwich won. The sandwich.
And we all lost for it.
We all-
Anyways,
we all
moving
lost.
on. See, this is like the one time. Every other discussion, I don't feel like it doesn't matter. Let people do what they want. No, when you cut your sandwich, you're cutting it in. There's a right way to do it.
I want to know whether
Jesus wants you to cut it in a triangle.
Show me the rules where it says
It's in the Bible somewhere. I'll find it.
that I should cut a sandwich in a triangle.
It's in the Bible somewhere.
I'm pretty sure.
There's
sure
a million food rules in the Bible.
I could bet that back in the day they did not cut a sandwich in a triangle.
I don't care what they did back in the
cut it
day.
in half.
Advance. Embrace the new age.
So
Embrace new technology.
Cut the triangle as a new age technology.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take,
All right.
I'm gonna take my sandwich and I'm gonna do a right angle on this piece of wood right here because it's 90 degrees. It's 45. It's like a. Let me take this and just.
Yeah, it looks better. It eats better. It handles better. You hold the fat part with your hand. You have the skinny triangles on both sides. It's just a better way of living. You don't have an argument in your corner besides tradition. Moving on. Recipe of the day.
Recipe of the day. We're gonna have to come back to that.
Yeah.
But I do have a recipe of the day.
Yeah.
I would say I have a recipe of the day. The recipe of the day is to go in your kitchen, find whatever you have, put it out on the table,
Uh-huh.
and look at it and pray to the recipe gods. Pray to the recipe gods and ask them to manifest a recipe into your brain with your leftover food that you have there. Because food should be fun and fun should be food.
So last weekend, I meal prepped for the first time in a long time. I meal prepped all my lunches on a Monday, last Monday for my work week. Got some Tupperware, got a new cutting board, a new knife. I even took some of my parsley from my herb plants, and I chopped it up with my new knife and some bell peppers and some onions and some other things. You know, my uncle was a chef in the Navy, and so he taught me how to cut
you had a new
vegetables at a
knife,
young
man.
age.
Nice.
But in all that new knife about took my edge of my finger off. Just getting it out of the package.
So now I'm gonna have to make a whole
no.
segment how to properly hold a cutting knife. How to properly
It
hold
was
a knife.
getting it out of the
cutting.
package. It was getting it out of the package. I was trying to get it out of the package, and while I was trying to pull it out, barely touched my finger, cut it down to the bone. But I did make some really good sausage, egg, cheese burritos for lunch.
Yeah, they looked really good. I ain't gonna lie. He sent me a picture. I was like, that looks really good.
They were really good. I may have overcooked them a little bit, over seasoned them a little bit because I couldn't smell
I would have
because
took
of
mine
allergies.
I would have took mine with no fingers though.
Yeah. Well,
It looked really good.
yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. It looked really good. He showed me a picture of it.
Yeah, it was on our social media.
Did we post it on?
I did put it on social
Yeah, it looked
media.
really good. It looked very.
But since we don't have a recipe of the day, I was just like,
Recipe of the day.
But that's why, like, I got that cutting board. That's why I got that knife. It's why I got those vegetables because I was just like, I haven't done it in a long time, and it just looked fun. And we were doing the pictures for the
Our photo shoot.
our photo shoot, and we were chopping up vegetables for the photo shoot. I'm like, man, I gotta get back to doing
I have
this.
to get with the guy to see what's up with our photos.
Yeah,
Well, we do have photos coming, so we have a lot of things coming. I've been talking about it for a while, but it's actually happening now, folks. Like, we've been getting the last 4 months, man, is picking up. We have been invited to several places. We've been getting a lot of downloads. We've been getting a lot of everything's just been going great
Yeah.
for Inside Lunchbox, and it's going slow because I need it to go slow because I don't want anything to go fast.
Yeah.
And then if it goes fast, I start stressing out.
All right. So, community announcements before we close out. First of all, thank you all for listening. Second of all, if you live in Montgomery County or Conroe, where we live, you have an upcoming election starting on April 20th. Our city council
Go out and vote.
is up for election. Our school boards are up for election. There's a special election for our local Senate district for our state legislature. And I do believe I missed one. I think there's like a county judge up for election, I think. But for sure, if you live in Conroe, your city council is up for election. Election day is May 2nd. However, early voting starts April 20th. Get out and vote. Get out and vote early, because if you get to the polling station and there's a problem with your ballot, you have a week or so to fix it. If you wait till election day, your vote don't count.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
If we get all these people to come out in early voting and nobody votes on election day, should we change early vote and make a new early voting?
No, because early voting is several days in a row. Whereas election day is that one day. You have that one day to go. So
The reason why I asked that because some people don't know.
yeah. But early voting is, hey, I'm going to go vote. I'm going to go Tuesday. Oh, wait, an emergency came up Tuesday, so I'm going to go Wednesday. Oh, wait, I couldn't make it Wednesday, so I have Thursday. Now I have Friday. Now I have Saturday. Now I have Sunday. If you have a plan, if your plan to vote is election day and you miss that day, you don't get to vote. So that's why you need to vote early. Make a plan to vote. Get out and vote early.
Let your voice be heard.
April
Go out there and
20th.
vote.
April 20th to April 28th is your 8 days to vote early in this upcoming
If you
municipal
want,
election.
you could put me down on your ballot. Chef Mac,
Yeah,
City of Conroe.
right in, count. Right in.
Write me in. Put me in as your superhero.
Yeah.
Excuse me, whatever you want. So,
right.
but yeah, so we love you guys. Check out our social media. You guys are awesome. Inside the Lunchbox.
And
We out.
we out.